Welcome, everybody, to the Active to Passive podcast, where we discuss transitioning active income into passive investments for financial freedom. This topic is the first step that people need to take in accomplishing that goal of financial freedom. And I think it's one of the most difficult because it's that first step in starting. And so I'm excited to run through my strategies to help people out today. W-2 income alone is not going to create enough excess capital to aggressively invest in real estate to create financial freedom. Therefore, you need to find an additional channel, an extra channel of income that you can use to take that aggressive approach into just investing into real estate. I'll give you an example. I was making about $100,000 a year working for a marketing company, but I had 2 kids, my wife was at home, and so with that great salary, I still didn't have enough excess capital to actively invest into real estate. And I think most of America is in that same position right now. There's just not enough based on your W-2 job alone. And so my recommendation for everyone is find another income stream. Find an extra channel of income so that your W-2 position can take care of your existing monthly expenses, but this new channel of income, we can just dump into real estate investing to grow that passive income. Now, when it comes to considering another channel for income, it's important that you make sure that you're not sacrificing or trading time for income. And so when you're considering what side gig or hustle I should do, I'll give an example with Uber. Uber is a very popular side gig right now, but the reason I don't like Uber as a side hustle for someone is because they are still trading their time for money. The amount of money that you make on an Uber ride is directly correlated to the estimated time that ride is going to take. And so while that time for money correlation exists, you're going to be capped. And we want to find a channel of income that is uncapped and not correlated to time. The best and easiest way to generate additional income is through high ticket sales. High ticket sales are going to provide a significant commission, and they're not correlated in any way to the amount of time that it takes you to complete that transaction. The easiest and best additional income source is high ticket sales for 2 reasons. The first, it's not tied at all to the amount of time it takes. So you are compensated based on a transaction. You're not compensated based on how long it takes you to accomplish something. And again, that's first principle. Number 2 is in the name high ticket, you could probably guess that the amount of commission that you earn on that product or service is a large amount. That's true. And so in high ticket sales, you're going to earn a significant amount of money. And for the sake of this, let's call it anything over $2,500 or so dollars as a commission. I'd categorize as a high ticket sale. So if I sell a product or a service and I'm going to receive $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, that is going to fall in the category of high ticket sales. Now, there are all sorts of different high ticket sales positions that exist. I'll give you a few examples. Obviously, my background was solar. Solar is going to be a high ticket sales position, not correlated to time. I can sell solar. I could sell solar to a business, to a homeowner, and that homeowner is going to receive great value because of the cost of utilities. Cost of utilities are rising like mad. And so I can sell solar. They can save money on their monthly utility costs. And because the overall cost of solar, not necessarily to the end user, because the package itself has a large price tag associated to it, the commission that I receive can be $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 or more in some cases. Second high ticket sales option that I would recommend is loan origination. I think that loan originators provide a great service and are absolutely needed. And the compensation that they receive is $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $15,000 or so. The second example for high ticket sales would be loan origination. Loan originators, I think, provide an excellent service to people that are attempting to buy either their first home or an investment property. Loan originators can kind of help creatively finance and find solutions for those people. And the transaction can compensate the loan originator $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 or more. So those are two great options. Another really thriving high ticket sales position that I'm seeing right now is digital courses online. You can generate $2,000, $5,000, $7,000 for every digital course that you sell. You don't even have to necessarily create the course. You can sell someone else's course that they've created and earn a significant commission associated. So whatever choice you decide to pick, I would just say that make sure that the transaction generates you at least $2,500 or more in commission. Now, as you look through these different options, you could take 15 minutes and Google, and I'm sure you'd find dozens of different options. You might say to yourself, well, Zach, everything you're describing is commission only. And I've always heard commission only is not a good job, or a commission only job is not something I should look for. Well, I think the only reason that stigma exists is because most people tend to correlate their time with money in the wrong way, inversely, right? They want to get compensated for the time that they spend working. But again, like I mentioned, I want to flip that on its head. I want my time to be my time, and the amount of money that someone needs to pay me for my time is probably more than they want to spend. So because we're not going to be able to come to an agreement on that, instead, I would like to have an agreement on a transaction amount that I get compensated. And therefore, I can get really creative and figure out how to get enough of those transactions to where my cumulative compensation for the amount of time that I'm spending is worth it to me. So I think that commission-only jobs are fantastic. And I want to start selling this product. Like, now what? Okay, first step, learn as much as you possibly can about that product or service. You need to know who uses it, why they use it, who's another competitor. What are the benefits of your ticket, your product or service versus a competitor's product or service? You need to know every single thing. You need to be an absolute expert on what it is that you're selling and spend as much time as necessary to accomplish that goal. Once you've done that and you've learned everything there is to know about the product or service, now you can go into the step of trying to earn some money with it. But I think I do see a tendency for people to jump in and want to start earning money before they've spent enough time learning about the product or service. That can lead to struggling to even make a sale, and then that struggle can be very discouraging. So don't put yourself in a discouraging position. Spend time and learn as much as you possibly can about the product or service first. Caveat is don't fall into analysis paralysis, and at some point you're going to have to take the leap and go sell something, okay? But gain as much product knowledge as you reasonably can, and now you can go into the steps of selling that product or service. So I'll give 3 steps that I've always used in any product or service I've ever sold. So let me dive into each one of these a little bit. So generating leads, probably the most important of all 3 of the steps. Without a mechanism to generate leads for you to sell this product or service, you're dead in the water. Referrals are great. Sometimes I'll talk to people that say, oh, all I do is referrals. I love referrals too, but it's really impossible to scale without some kind of consistent lead flow. And so I would say find a way to generate consistent lead flow, and then yes, take as many referrals as you possibly can, but you need to generate leads. A couple of recommendations are find strategic partners. So going back to when I said, when you're doing your diligence and learning about the product, you need to learn, where are my customers? Where do a lot of my customers exist? What are some other businesses or services that my customers are using? Can I go to that non-competing business that I know that my customers also use and work out some kind of relationship or referral partnership, strategic partnership, joint venture, whatever it is, with them so that they can funnel me my ideal client? And so you have to think outside of the box, but it all goes back to, where do your customers live? and where do they exist, and then getting a creative way to funnel those to you as best you possibly can. So that's generating leads. Next step is to expose the need. So in sales, sometimes there's a tendency to explain how your product and service can help someone and the value that it provides. But unfortunately, most people have a tendency to avoid pain rather than make a decision to gain pleasure. And so if I explain why my product or service is amazing, but they don't feel that there would be any pain if they say no, then even if my product and service is great, they still may say no, right? Because I've explained it from the perspective of how it's going to help you. Here are all the benefits, right, that my product and service has. And so I want you to say yes based on all of these benefits that I've described and laid out for you. When in reality, a lot of times people don't say yes based on those benefits. So instead, I want to ask questions to get them to look at it and say, wow, I am going to be experiencing a ton of financial pain, emotional, whatever the pain point is. I'm going to find that pain and get the prospect to understand how much pain they're going to experience if they don't choose my product. And that's what ties into the last section, which is make them plead. I don't want to try as a salesperson to convince a client to say yes. If I'm coming from the mindset of trying to convince a client to say yes, I feel like I've already lost. So instead, if I create enough exposed pain, I will have the client come to me and say, I really need this product or service. And now I can give some pushback and say, well, quite honestly, I don't know if our product is going to make sense for you because of X, Y, or Z reason. And the more that I give them pushback after they really feel the desire to use our product or to get our service, the more pushback I give them, the more they want the product. So we'll talk more about that in upcoming podcasts. But again, just the takeaway is you got to generate leads, expose needs from the perspective of why they need it, not talk about benefits of your product. And then the last part just inevitably happens where they are desiring your product because of all of the needs that you've highlighted or that you've made them understand. And so in short, to summarize, how to increase active income, stay at your W-2 position, find a high ticket sales gig or opportunity that's going to pay you at least $2,000-3,000 or more per transaction. Learn as much as you can about that product or service, and then generate leads, expose needs, and they will plead for the service. If you're unhappy with your current situation, it's on you to make the change. So I or anybody else can lay out these different steps, but if you don't make the change and take those steps into action, then there's nobody to blame but yourself. So I really do hope that you take this information and you take action to accomplish your goal and achieve that level of financial freedom that I know is possible. I know it exists because I've experienced it, I've lived it. So I desperately want that for everyone that's listening. But at the end of the day, it's on you. So I hope that you take this and run with it.